Hello and welcome to the Star Wars After Show presented by Verizon. I'm Peter Townley, co-host of the Star Wars Show, and this week on the show we're talking Star Wars toys as well as the mania associated with their release and collectability, our favorite droids from the galaxy, and much more. Joining me this week is my esteemed panel of Lucasfilm employees and Star Wars fans. We have Matt Martin, story executive from the Lucasfilm Story Group, Dan Brooks, senior content writer and editor of StarWars.com, and fan relations coordinator at Lucasfilm, Lucas Seastrom. Thanks for being on the show today, fellas.
For sure.
Thank you.
How we doing?
Good.
Good.
Ready to talk about some Star Wars?
Let's do it.
So first little subject we have here is collectibles, but especially toys. What was the thing that got the collecting bug going for you?
For me, it was when I was a kid, just wanting to play with them. Like I got into Star Wars just after it was popular, so I couldn't find them anywhere. So my mom would like go to garage sales and scour for old Kenner toys and things, and look in like recycler ads and things.
Oh, so you were a kid during that period when there weren't things being made
times.
Yet again.
Yeah. So like, it was just getting my hands on anything was all that mattered to me. It wasn't like one specific toy. It was like if I could get a stormtrooper, I was super happy because I had a stormtrooper.
The sort of the treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say the same thing for me, except now it's like that SNL sketch about the older fans who have the glass case, like that hit a little too close to home for me. That's essentially what my apartment is like. It's kind of like a toy store in some areas.
Where along the line did things start going into the glass case? Like at what point do they stop becoming toys and at what point did they start becoming collectibles?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It was probably when I hit about 25. It was like, now these are collectibles. Not that I was playing with them up until where's the camera? Not that I was playing with them up until I was 25, believe me. Then they were just kind of like spread around. But once you hit a certain age, it's like you need to bring some order to your apartment.
Was there anything in particular that was like, this needs to be preserved, this belongs in a museum, this needs to be preserved for the ages behind glass?
I would say definitely the Black Series. From Hasbro, and all my original Kenner stuff. It was kind of like, let's protect that from the elements.
Because the Kenner stuff has the rarity.
Yes.
And with the Black Series, you have things that are actually really well sculpted and well painted, and you kind of want to keep them nice.
I got into Star Wars in the 90s, and so for me it was the Micro Machines that came out from Gloob, which was later purchased by Hasbro. It was 1994, and it was really one of the first new Star Wars toy licensees of the 90s after the quote-unquote dark times that that you guys are talking about. And there were all kinds of great different diversity of toys. You had the action fleet starfighters that you could fly around, and you had the transforming play sets where you had these busts of character heads and they opened up and there was a whole environment inside the head, and you could line up the heads and then take, it was just endless, and you'd lose all the little figures and stuff. And this was also in the 90s. It was during that period of very energetic and forceful advertising against children, and
everything had to be extreme.
Yeah, it was cool, awesome, amazing, fast. Buy
Star
this toy.
Wars!
The Micro Machines, we had that dude that talked really fast.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Love that dude.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, for me it was the Micro Machines, and it's cool to see them back.
I thought it was so cool that Hot Wheels finally has a Star Wars thing going, and that's only been like the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite Star Wars action figure of all time?
Ooh. Mine might be the original Boba Fett. I don't know why. It was just such a perfect figure. And I'm not even Boba's cool, but I'm not like a massive Boba fan. But for some reason, that just worked so well as an action figure.
Yeah.
And I think
That
that's
one did
what led
look
to him.
I remember it looking really good. I'd probably look at it now and go, okay. But yeah, I remember that being a really cool figure.
Historically also, there's a lot around that figure.
Yeah.
Aside from like the rocket pack thing. But I mean, he was the first mail-away figure, I think.
Was he the first? He was definitely mail away. I don't remember if he was first. I think he
Yeah.
might have been.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
I'd have to say Jedi Luke. Cloak,
Yeah.
lightsaber that he actually holds in his hand. It doesn't slide out of his arm.
Yes, that was a big deal when they made that jump.
That was a big innovation.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I remember really loving the Power of the Force 2 R2-D2 figure, which was the one that my generation had, and it was very simple. It was the first to have the retractable third leg that came out of the body, and you know, I wasn't as big of a fan of the later versions of R2 that had the all the electronics built into it and stuff, which is cool. But for whatever reason, when I was younger, I just liked this more simplified figure, and so just the sculpt of that one and the nice shiny chrome, you know, chrome dome and everything on it was, you know, that was a good one.
Yeah, I didn't have that many Star Wars toys as a kid, but between like a couple of friends of mine, like most of them were there. So it was kind of like when we would play, everyone would bring the Star Wars stuff that they had. As in terms of a favorite figure, like I'm not going to go with as a kid like Dengar, my Dengar figure. my parents' dog dug it up like not too long ago.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, it was like it had been buried for, you know, over 20 years.
It's like a time
That's
capsule.
Yeah, and I was on the phone with my dad, and he was like, "Yeah, the dog found one of your old toys. It looks like a guy who's kind of got some bandages. Oh, it's Dengar. How do you know this stuff?"
He has toilet paper on his head.
Yeah,
There's this guy.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was the quick Dengar costume as a
Right,
kid.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, Dengar, yeah, dude's tough. Tough as
Yeah.
nails, man. Buried for 20 years, dug up by the dog, still looking
That's
good.
the coolest thing I've ever heard about Dengar. That story. His cool factor just shot way up.
Poor
Yeah.
Dengar.
So droids, do you have a particular favorite droid character?
It's hard not to say R2. I mean, that's the obvious choice. I kind of like I kind of like the Gonk droid who's getting tortured in Jabba's palace. I don't know why that sticks out to me. It's such a memorable scene.
Well, yeah, it really stands out of my.
Yeah.
I remember that really freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, he's screaming, but he's hanging in there, right? So he's got some toughness to him.
I'm
I can
picturing
get
one of
down with
those
that
like
guy.
cat posters, except it's the Gonk droid getting his feet scalded in
Yeah.
Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark, Dan.
I'll go with him. Why not?
Yeah, and, you know, it's the same thing. You have R2 and BB-8 and even R5. You know, they all kind of come into your head. But really, I'd have to go with RX-24, the original Captain Rex from Star Tours.
Good choice.
And
Oh, wow.
you have, you know, all the way back to '87 with
Before he was born.
Before I was born, yes, indeed. When I was -6 or whatever it is, with, you know, the great voice of Paul Rubens, and even the design. I was so happy when they brought him into Rebels.
Yep. And got Paul Rubin again.
Yeah.
yes,
yeah,
and got
that's-
him again. It's-
That's the key.
It's really cool.
yeah, I just love it. It almost looks like a character who was made out of these very simple geometric building blocks, kind of stacked on top of each other. And there's just something that I don't know if there's ever been a droid that really emanates with life in that way, where he's so funny and he's fearful and he makes the original Star Tours all the way down to the remove before flight tag that's on his body. So
Yeah, he's
that's
kind of
my
the
choice.
quintessential Star Wars droid. When Star Wars was probably one of the first things that really took robots and made them characters. And Star Tours kind of took that to the next level by making him really the star of that show, which
Yeah.
was pretty awesome.
Definitely.
So I have a lot of favorites, but one that I just recently tweeted about, so it's in my head, was Bullocks and Blue Max from the original Brian Daley books. It's like this janky-looking droid that has another droid inside of him, and the one inside of him's like this cool little box of information, basically. And for some reason, the counterplay between the two of them is a lot of fun. Like, they really care for each other. And I'm also a huge Chopper fan.
Yes.
Partially probably because working on Rebels Recon, I spent some time driving our Chopper here.
And he's around the office.
He's around the
so
office.
If he heard you say otherwise, he might get moved
Yeah,
out or
exactly.
something.
Like,
so
he
best
would-
to play that one safe.
Yeah,
He's
would not
behind
be
the
happy.
couch. He has a blaster
Yeah,
to your back
right
now.
there, exactly. But no, Chopper's awesome. It's always good to have kind of like the snarky droid, the cat of droids. And K2's awesome. I'm sure we've all seen the trailer.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's the voice actor in voice droids is really so key to the character. It's one of the things that I love so much about C-3PO is we've had this consistent presence of Anthony Daniels all throughout Star Wars, and it really helps ground you in whatever Star Wars thing it is you're watching as soon as you hear C-3PO's voice.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard of Alan Tudyk's portrayal, he's really taken a lot of influence from the C-3PO character, so I look forward to seeing what he does with that.
For
Yeah.
sure. You can't really go
Yeah.
wrong with Alan Tudyk. Like, That guy's always great and brings.
He's
that,
a fan favorite for a reason.
Yeah, like he brings that
Yeah.
comedic timing, which I think is going to be important to that particular droid.
I don't know. Second prize might go to X3PO, the evil C3PO that was made by Darth Maul, which is one of my favorite sentences in Star Wars. Is that there was an evil version of C3PO that was made by Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And have you
Just
seen
I
Triple Zero?
love that it happened. And
say that.
000 is essentially X3PO.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I like. He's a good homage to a character that's Legends
For
now.
sure.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for watching the Star Wars After Show presented by Verizon. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And as always, for more Star Wars show, check out youtube.com/Star Wars, StarWars.com, or the Star Wars app. Thanks again, and may the Force be with you.